Hey everybody, how you doing? Today in the show, we dive into the real deal with manufacturing in China. We answer all of your questions about social responsibility in China and how to go about finding a good and reliable and trustworthy manufacturer in China. Hope you enjoy the episode, and if you haven't yet, go check out our free ebook at innerchina.co. Cheers. Yeah, so manufacturing in China, a lot of people, when they first think about it, they think about, slaving away in factories, really unsanitary conditions, just bad, evil place.
Yeah, somewhere you don't want to go, somewhere you don't want to be.
Okay, and so with 4 years, being here for the past 4 years, we've actually learned a lot. We've spent a lot of time in factories, and we can tell you that it's not all like that. Like, China is a very big place. Of course, a lot of the stories that people do hear, that people do talk about, are negative ones.
Yeah.
But there's also obviously a lot of stand-up factories. There's a lot of great stuff that is made here in China, and there are a lot of good factory owners, good people, etc. So a lot of people that relate the idea of China makes very cheap things, China makes bad stuff, and they do it in a very bad way in their factories. Well, the responsibility doesn't fall only on China,
absolutely.
Right? Who is China manufacturing for? They're manufacturing for businesses, business owners. Those businesses come in with requirements. I need this price, okay? I need this timeline, all this kind of stuff. And it's also the responsibility of the business or the business owner to do their due diligence, to find out who they are ordering from.
Yes.
Okay? I know a lot of the bigger companies, of course, have to abide by social regulations.
Absolutely.
If you're going to be into any big retail distribution chain, anything like that, your factories do have to have background checks to make sure they live up to certain kind of standards, whatever industry you're in. But with that, it applies for even small business owners. I think that's the fundamental misunderstanding of people that do all of a sudden just equate China to poor factories and poor quality goods, when really they should bring it around full circle and see who's actually paying the factory, who's going, yes, I've vetted all these different factories, I'm choosing you to make my goods, so I'm responsible for that, and I want this low price point. If I really want it to be that low, it's my responsibility to understand that those goods are probably going to be cheap. If I don't tell my consumers and the goods break on them, then it's not the factory's fault necessarily. It's probably the business or the business owner.
Yeah, what I really wanted to highlight for this point is just the world's biggest brands, Nike or Apple, and maybe your one single mom and pop shops in the middle of central the United States. It's like they're all getting their things manufactured in China, many of them, and it all comes down to really who they're using to produce their goods. And just, you can make very high-end products and very low-end products. Again, it's up to really where your access meets of quality to price ratio that you're going to put into it.
One of the hard things for a lot of entrepreneurs and people that are looking into China is trying to find those specific factories, and that's the stuff that we walk you through in the elevator life. How to find and choose very socially responsible factories, and how to know the difference between good factories and not, especially if you're new to China. One of the things that we do suggest are working with sourcing agents that are very experienced in vetting factories here. But another way is to get here on the ground, get to know the owners of the factories.
He's done a lot of this.
Yeah, we've been, in the last few weeks, we've been going to a lot of different factories, vetting different factories, and the one thing, guys, that it really comes down to is the owner. And the people that are working, the people that you meet when you go to see a factory, that's a big time reflection of what the factory kind of holds them to on standards, how they operate, are they shady? You can tell a lot by meeting the owners of the factories and really interacting with them, creating dialogues, all that kind of stuff.
I think it boils down to, anywhere you are in this world, when you meet someone who you're thinking about doing business with, you get this feeling, is this guy, is he kind of this slick, kind of schmoozing? What is he not telling me? Is he kind of hiding me? Is this someone who I can see myself trusting? It all comes down to that gut feeling, that relationship. And if you're not going to do that in person yourself, there's sourcing agents who can go say, okay, this guy's known for A, this guy's known for B, you want factory C, something like that.
Well, exactly. And that's like we said, a lot of stuff that we go over in Inner China. And so we're not going to dive into those specific tactics right now, but it's more about the idea that everything manufacturing in China it's not all socially unresponsible, irresponsible. There's a lot of stuff. It's really on you to do your due diligence, to find out the good people that you should be working with, and it's on you to make quality products. It's not on the factory. They follow your orders. How much money you're going to give them, that's the kind of product they're going to create.
Yeah, they have to hit their prices and their margins too. And normally they're a lot smaller than what the business owners making on their products, of course. And one thing, Jared Dougal, a member of Enter China, showed us a really interesting article today about Canton Fair. We've talked about it a few times, the world's biggest trade fair. And really a lot of the manufacturers and people who are running the show are saying, domestically, standards are going up. For the Chinese consumers, they're getting more buying power. The option is now there to buy foreign goods if the Chinese ones aren't meeting their requirements. They understand this too, they're not stupid. So really the level of quality we've seen over the years is increasing, and that's a really good sign for the modernization of the manufacturing process. And really the people who are just trying to wheel and deal and try and take advantage of everybody, they still exist, but they're few and far between compared to 10, 15 years ago.
Well, definitely. And that goes to show like the views on manufacturing have also started to change here in China. We talked about in the beginning of the episode, Americans and foreigners, how they view China. A lot of people view it as this big manufacturing hub where there aren't a lot of rules, a lot of, child labor, all this stuff. That does happen, but things are starting to change.
Absolutely.
Especially how Chinese themselves are looking at it.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So one of the things that I had a conversation with one of our buddies last week was there's a big time, everyone knows it, big time pollution problem here in China. Okay, he was relating it directly to how we force manufacturing jobs all over here, and and it's really ruined the environment. So that's an interesting take on a perspective that foreigners don't really look at. That China, a lot of the citizens here aren't necessarily happy that all of the manufacturing is here. Okay, and that could lead to changes in the future. I don't know, down the road. Textiles, I know, are starting to change outside of China, but they are starting to have a different perspective on it.
Yeah, absolutely. What a lot of people don't understand is China's bearing the environmental costs of all the developed world's manufacturing. Again, all the biggest brands, many of them have at least 1 or 2 manufacturing plants here in China. And all the pollution and all the carbon dioxide and all the particulates going into the air are from the goods that people are purchasing and using overseas. In China as well, but that has to be an understood point by a lot of people. And Chinese people are like, yeah, I mean, a lot of the pollution is coming from here, but it's coming from here because we're making these products for you. It's just a different perspective on how to look at what's going on here.
Well, you go back to when the U.S. and Europe were doing their industrial revolution, and the pollution was crazy there as well. And people realized that, and they wanted to make a change. So I think we're gearing towards some interesting times here in China. A lot of factories are being moved around, kicked out of cities, etc., like that. A lot of them are facing more regulations, and so basically, of course, there are some bad things going on in China. The point that we really want to get across is that doesn't mean you don't come here, and that doesn't mean like turn a blind eye, it's like,
it's not if I go to do manufacturing in China, I'm gonna have to see some bad things. No, just don't go to those factories.
Both parties share in the responsibility of that. The factory that you're working with, you should be the one vetting that. You should be the one really making that decision. And you really, one last point I want to get into that some people will bring up is the fact that, well, what about cutting corners? Okay, I vet a factory. I do really good research. Okay, I like it, but then my goods come out and they do break. But I didn't. It's not because I wanted a cheap price. That really dives into a different topic of quality control. Of really being and present in factories while you are manufacturing. But that's other stuff that we talk about in the DC.
Yeah, absolutely.
Easy. But the main point being that it's responsibility of both the business and China. There can be great relationships there, great products, obviously, but you can't just lay a generalization across the whole continent.
He said it perfectly. When it's a shared responsibility on the manufacturer and you to make sure the product you want gets delivered. That's just, you can't blame either party. It's like it's a linked kind of responsibility that you have to be aware of, which was our goal of this episode, to let you know, it's not up to them, it's not up to you, it's a group decision.
All right, to wrap it all up, guys, it's really a group decision. You can be socially responsible here. That is a fact, okay? But it is on you to take steps down that path, okay? It's on you to make sure that your business is being socially responsible.
Absolutely. Yeah, really, we've said it, we've kind of beaten it to a pulp right now. It's just group decision. It's possible, can be done. Don't let 1 or 2 stories phase you, because those people probably didn't know what they were doing. But you get here, you learn, or you hire someone who does, and odds are you'll reach a conclusion you're happy with.
All right, guys, thanks for watching the show. If you have any questions about manufacturing in China, make sure to comment below the video or send us an email.
Yeah, we love to get those emails, so look forward to some.
All right, guys, cheers.
Bye.